special episode of the Fantasy Cast.
Yeah.
We're a little closer than usual today. I made the trek back from Massachusetts. Ran into this guy here.
This bozo.
I'm Lachlan McTagg. Again, he's Ty White, in case you didn't know. This is episode number 12 of the Fantasy Cast, and we're doing it live. You know, we thought, you know, we've done this on Zoom from afar for long enough that you know we need an episode to be a little closer to each other. So
I know it's great to see you. It's been a long time, and it's kind of weird doing this not from my room and on Zoom together, but I guess it's a more normal sense. And yeah, it's great to be here, man.
Yeah. What a crazy week in fantasy football, man. Like,
it was a weird one. It was a really big week for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Very inflated week in terms of points wise. When we talk about big weeks, we're going to see that. But it was a fun week. Not for the Bills.
No, or Falcons.
Or the Falcons.
For that matter.
It was a good week for the Chargers, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
very good week.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, how's life been here? I know I just joined you back in the city, but how's it been this last week or so?
It's been really good. I got to go home on the weekend and set up the Christmas decorations.
Oh, yeah.
It's just always a pleasure. It's a different time of year in Toronto when it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Or Christmas season in general.
Yeah.
So that was good. Like I said, Chargers win, and that was so good for me. I really enjoyed that. And other than that, school was wrapping up the term for Christmas break. How about yourself? You're back?
Yeah.
How was the ride?
Yeah, it was a long ride from Massachusetts. You know, about 7-8 hours or so total. I had a couple stops along the way, but last weekend we had a showcase at Merrimack College in Andover, Massachusetts, North Andover. The boys went 3-1.
Wow.
It was good.
Nice.
It was a solid weekend. Just happy to be back. It's American Thanksgiving, so
For sure. That's why you're here.
So yeah, exactly. So the team's got basically a week off now.
Nice.
Heading back down there to Springfield on Sunday. So just spending time here, and you know, glad to be back. Took a nice walk around in the city today. It was awesome. Great to be back in Canada once again.
Yeah, well, it feels kind of weird doing this. We haven't done some kind of video sports related thing since I believe it was April.
Since high school. Yeah.
Since high school in April. So it's great to be back. This time for our podcast, though.
Oh my God.
And what do we have today? We have Fantasy Cast episode 12, and we always start with starts and sits.
Yeah, this was another one of these weird weeks for us. We'll get into our record in a second. We got a couple technicalities as well, because you know we love to throw ourselves bones here.
Oh, we're just chucking them our way.
Yeah.
It's the festive season. We were in a giving mood, you know. And let's start off with our starts that we said, looking back from week 11. We said Hunter Henry versus Atlanta. My God, was that ugly?
Dude, I started that guy, man.
Yeah. Taking the Fantasy Cast advice. If you took our advice,
we're sorry.
Well, he squeaked out a win, though.
I was in a barn burner this week. I won 87-84.
And I lost 150 to 170 in one of my other leagues. So
yeah,
that's how she rolls.
It's tough.
But Hunter Henry put up 4.5.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk put up 4.5. But there's a technicality on that because he did catch a touchdown that got called back.
Yeah, which I don't know.
Freaking Colt McCoy out there, man. I mean, he's not even that bad.
He's not that bad. Like I don't know. It's just unfortunate that he had a touchdown called back.
But that one certainly could have gone our way. Is the point.
Yeah.
It's just too
bad. Easily.
We said to start
because if he he put up Christian Kirk put up 4.5. So did Hunter Henry. But if Christian Kirk catches that touchdown, then
we win.
He's
around, successful.
Yeah,
for sure.
10.5 points.
And then we also set to start A.J. Dillon versus Minnesota. It's one that we're very happy about.
Very happy.
Because he put up 15 points against Minnesota. He's playing very well recently.
Yeah.
Amazing back.
Yes. Well, he's a solid backup.
Yeah.
We've said this in the past. I mean, I don't know, a team like the Titans could use a guy like him right about now, but
we just got a notification. You're seeing this the next day that Adrian Peterson got released. We have no idea if that's true or not.
No, we looked at like Schefter's Instagram, his Twitter. We haven't seen anything. We have no idea what's going on there.
Yeah, it's not over till the fat lady sings. In this case, the fat lady's Adam Schefter. and he's just always on point with the news. So if you're not checking your news with Schefter, obviously you have to. We also said, this is a weird one. We said Eli Mitchell versus Jacksonville. And we didn't even know at the time that he wasn't going to be playing.
Yeah, you guys got to understand, like, this is a Tuesday night thing for us, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, teams don't release a ton of information on the Monday practice. Like, if a player's limited, they might say something.
Yeah.
And if you check, fantasy football, you might have like a questionable there. If they're like, the fantasy football questionable sign is very iffy because, I remember Dalvin Cook had a Q beside his name a lot last year because he would have a game where he'd have like 38 touches.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Monday's practice would come and it would be like, Dalvin Cook was limited at practice. Like, because he ran the ball almost 40 times the day before. Like,
that's so true. You have to take that into account.
Yeah.
But that one, so we're just going to count that as nothing.
Yeah, we had no knowledge that Eli Mitchell was not going to play.
49ers dominated Jacksonville, so we probably would have gotten that right, actually.
Yeah, they had their way with the Jags. But that's a no contest for us on that front. We try our best with injury news.
Yeah.
Injury and COVID placement updates and
sure.
whatnot.
But you never know. Until game day, right? Our final start was Jalen Waddle versus the Jets. Absolutely got that one right. 20 points. 20.6 points to be exact. So those were our starts. Locke, let's get started with the sits.
Yeah, we told you to sit Kadarius Toney versus Tampa, and somehow this guy put up 11 points.
That was bad.
I don't know how with the way Daniel Jones was playing on Monday Night Football in Tampa Bay. Like the
he caught quite a few. He almost completed like a 40-yard pass that looked like it got called for pass interference, then it called back. I don't know why they were calling passes with Kadarius Toney. I mean, he's not particularly tall wide receiver.
Against a good defense nonetheless, too, in Tampa Bay. But
that's very true.
Next one, we told you to sit James Robinson against San Fran. Another close one. He put up 11.8.
We're 1 point off there, or 2 points off on both of those.
So a decent outing from Robinson nonetheless if you had him in your lineup.
Yes.
But put up a little bit more than we expected against a solid San Francisco team. At least they had good form going into that game.
Yeah, they were, and I don't know, too bad. That one, another close one for the boys. But this next one, oh my goodness, were we right?
Next couple actually.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield versus Detroit. Sorry, I was kind of building you up to take that there. But it was Baker Mayfield versus Detroit. He had less than 10 points. And remember, for quarterbacks, we set the mark of, I think, 15 points. Yes. And that was against the Lions. And people were like, why would you do that? Well, it's because...
Yeah, Ty, did you not say Detroit sucks a couple weeks ago? Yeah, we
did say that.
And Detroit does kind of suck a little bit. They're not great. But Baker Mayfield is also not too hot right now.
No.
So
I don't know. Like, that one was just, we felt that he wouldn't have a strong game, and their offense didn't have a strong game.
It's more intuition, I'd say.
They squeaked by them. Like, they squeaked by the friggin' Lions, which is not a good sign.
Yeah.
If you're a Browns fan, and they're going downhill and have gone downhill. Show us this next one, which we also got right.
Yeah. Antonio Gibson versus Carolina. I didn't really think this guy would be on our sits list, nor would we be actually predicting correctly that he would be under the 10-point threshold when we told you to sit him. But he was. He only put up 7.5 against Carolina. Things are looking a little weird there for the football team.
It is very weird because they actually beat Carolina that game, barely beat Carolina. And Carolina's defense is terrible. They're not terrible, but they played terrible last game, and that's the reason they lost. It actually wasn't Cam Newton. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. But Gibson wasn't able to get more than 10 points on a crappy defense. And the last one, Allen Robinson versus Baltimore, that's another one. This is weird. It's never happened before. Now, twice in 1 week it's happened to us where we have to count a known game for a player.
Yeah.
Because he didn't play either.
Literally zero clue that Allen Robinson wasn't going to play.
Like we thought that he was putting him a goose egg until we checked that. Oh, he's not even in the game.
Well, and I had a pair of games on Sunday, so I, wasn't too into the stats on Sunday. But I was kind of checking my phone. I was like looking through. I was like, okay, how are we doing starts and sits? And I was like, looked at the Bears versus versus Ravens stats, and I didn't see Robinson's name.
No.
I was like, oh my god, we're predicting a goose egg here.
got
Like
this
is
spot on.
awesome. And
Yeah.
then I look, it's like Bears missing key receiver Robinson in today's game. I'm like, that explains a lot more. All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So that one, we're going to, obviously, that's 4 for 8 now because we're not counting 2 more. But
Yeah.
as you will see, we actually put in 6 starts and 6 sits for this upcoming week to make up for this, hopefully.
So we have 12 total players that we're giving you this week.
Yeah.
So
12-0?
no chance.
Definitely not.
If we go 8-4, that'll be unreal.
For sure.
But
I'd be happy with
but yeah, I mean, just to show you guys that we made a couple mistakes last week and not monitoring injury situations, maybe to the best of our abilities. Who knows?
We were slacking. We were sleeping the switch there.
Maybe a little bit. So you know what? We're giving ourselves even more of a challenge this week.
Yes.
Putting 12 players
Yep.
in play for you guys to decide whether or not to start and sit.
Yeah. Let's get on to the big weeks. As always, we go on to the players who have big weeks. Starting at quarterback, oh my God, am I happy to say this name. Justin Herbert led the quarterbacks this week, 35.28 points. I don't know if you know this. He's the only quarterback in NFL history to pass for over 350 yards and rush for over 90 yards in a game.
Really?
Doesn't it seem weird? Like, someone had to have done that
seem
before.
Really weird.
Someone had to have done that before.
You think like Mike Vick would have done it, or someone like that? I don't even know.
Or even
like,
Cam Newton maybe one game. Like his
Yeah,
first ever game, he had
like
422 passing yards.
2015 or something.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know.
But he didn't, and that was a
Strange.
weird stat. So I'd never heard that before. So I'm happy. Big dub against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football.
It was a big dub. Prime time nonetheless too.
Yes, of course. So, and I mean, Herb's been great. That was a good game, and you could see he do so much with his legs, but the Chargers don't really run him that much. None of those were designed run plays; those were all scrambles.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily think that the Chargers would design a lot of run plays for Herbert when they have Eckler in the backfield.
For sure.
But yeah, you're right though. The plays that he did use his legs though were scrambles and good decisions on his part. I'd say.
For sure. Oh, all up to him. Aaron Rodgers, 33.5 against Minnesota. Tough divisional loss there. And then you had Jalen Hurts, who dropped a 40 bomb on the Saints for some reason.
It's so unsuspecting.
He had 30 points in that game. So that was amazing. Cam Newton had 26.
Oh, damn, man.
That's incredible. That was a loss too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Trevor Siemian, excuse me, he's back on this list.
Yeah,
I don't know how he crawled his way back on this list.
Week.
Yeah, and Siemian, that's 26 in a loss where his team allowed 40 points. So that's really weird. But those are the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Wideouts, Justin Jefferson, holy smokes, did he have a week?
Yeah.
Massive performance against the Packers. Was really an X factor in that game.
Yep.
They couldn't handle him all day long, put up 37. Another player in that Packers-Vikings game, Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Sneaky little 30-point performance out of Devontae there.
Yep.
Elijah Moore, this guy I did not start. I picked him up off the waiver wire last week. Decided not to put him in my starting lineup. Why? Well, I don't know.
Hunter Henry was in there.
Exactly, that's why. No, that's exactly why. Because Hunter Henry was in my lineup instead of Elijah Moore.
One of the most underrated players in the NFL for sure, in my opinion.
He put up 27, I think. I don't even know.
It was in the high 20s.
It was in the high 20s. It was way better than Hunter Henry.
Yeah, who had less than 10. Thank you. Less than 5, actually. So
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, Chicago Bears.
Man, I mean, he was filling a role for Allen Robinson, so... Yeah. And then Deontay Johnson with 23 points to cap off the wide receivers.
I know you want to talk about Johnson a little bit here. Because he had an amazing game against the Chargers. Great catch. That's one of the greatest catches I think I've ever seen this year, at least. Didn't you say he didn't have a game below 10 this year or something like that?
Yeah. Deontay Johnson's been a very, very sneaky performer this year. Last time I checked, I think his lowest performance this year was 11, I believe.
And Schuster's out, obviously, so that helps.
Yeah, but he's taken over that.
No, you're right.
He's taken over that receiving core in Pittsburgh, and has been a pretty special player if you have him this year.
Yes.
Very, very sneaky, very under the radar. We haven't talked about him a whole lot on the fantasy
He's
cast.
just being consistent, which is...
He's been consistently in the mid to high teens on average, I'd say, and putting up some solid mid-20s performance.
For sure.
You know, sprinkling them in there every so often. And he had another one last week with 23.
Very
so
impressive.
this guy's just locked in. He's in his zone right now, and he's just catching everything that's going his way. He's getting open, and I mean, as long as he keeps flying under the radar, you know, it's just better for an athlete like that. I mean,
sure. He is amazing.
Yeah.
They were actually showing before Sunday Night Football. He practices with tennis balls and like knee-jerk reactions to certain stuff.
Yeah.
They throw him, and there was a pass that he caught where I don't know even how he saw the ball. Big Ben just fit it through this tiny little spot in the field, and he caught it. So he's so talented, and probably him and Elijah Moore, two of the more underrated receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, Elijah Moore's kind of peaking in the last, I'd say, 3-4 weeks, whereas Deontay Johnson's kind of been at
he's been at that level,
pretty steady point of an elite receiver the whole season, I'd say.
That's a good point. Let's go back. Let's go on to running backs, rather. Oh, my goodness. We have some huge numbers here, including Johnathan Taylor. 53.4 points against Buffalo. That's amazing for anyone to do, let alone against Buffalo. Buffalo's not a team that gets 40 bombed often.
No, that's probably going to be one of their higher or worst defensive outputs of the season. I mean, I started their defense because, again, I don't know. I'm kind of superstitious with fantasy, and I think that the lowest they put up is either like 4 points or 0 points or something like that. I think it was actually probably 0 points against Tennessee when they gave up like 31 or whatever they gave up against the Titans that one game. But they've been lights out this year for me in fantasy, so why not start them at home?
Like I would start them too. It's just unfortunate that.
And then they only put up -4 though.
Yeah.
Only -4 points, which
when you get 40,
is not great. No. You never want your defense to lose you points, but considering the scoreline and some of the stats that were coming out of that game, -4, I will take that.
That's a good point. You also had Austin Eckler. Very happy about that. It's rare that a running back has 4 total touchdowns and does not finish the highest scoring running back.
Yeah, you're not going to see that too often.
Yeah. But Eckler was amazing. Oh my gosh, 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns for 41 points. McCaffrey, CMC, about a big drop off here. Only 24 CMC compared to
only 24
compared to 40 and 50. I mean, that's ridiculous. Joe Mixon 24 and DeAndre Swift at 22. DeAndre Swift, so consistent. He had a huge run.
Very consistent. Yeah. He's not reported about because he plays in Detroit.
Yeah.
Like how much have you heard about Jared Goff this year? Not a lot.
Well, because rightfully he sucks. But I mean,
here's the craziest thing though is like this point last year with Goff, the Rams have the same record.
Yeah, that's true.
So you spend a couple first-round picks, and
he's just not playing well. But it doesn't help. He's obviously playing in Detroit, so
I don't know. I just find that interesting that with the Rams, they've added so many pieces in the last year. Like this team is a lot stronger on paper than last year's team. I'd say, all around. And
you had Stafford, you had Von Miller,
they're the
Beckham.
Same. They got the same record. Now, mind you, Robert Woods went down with an injury, so that obviously doesn't help. But you have an elite receiver, at least former elite receiver in Odell. See what he does for the rest of the season. But let's move on to tight ends here. Zach Ertz, what a week! 28 for the guy,
Colt McCoy,
for the veteran. Colt McCoy's not terrible.
No, but they
need Kyler back.
Yeah.
But, next one, Travis Kelce put up 18. He had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
A rushing touchdown. Very interesting. In Kansas City's win
that was out of
over
the not Wildcat necessarily, but he was taking that snap from the shotgun and then rushed it in. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, one of Andy Reid's
little trick plays,
eye candy plays or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Darren Waller had 18.6 as well. This list is looking very 2018-esque.
Oh yeah. and then you got this name coming in.
Yeah, Adam. Is it Adam Toman?
I think it's Trotman.
Trotman. It looks like Toman there.
Yeah.
You're writing.
That chicken scratch on the page. I mean, Trotman had 16, and he's injured for like 5 weeks now.
He's on the injured reserve now. So if you're watching this and you're like, hey, I should look that guy up.
Nope.
No.
Don't bother.
Give it another month.
Yeah. And the fantasy season will probably be over by then, so
yeah.
Don't worry about it.
And last one, Mark Andrews, another veteran name in there.
Yeah.
Put up 15.
Yeah. That's it. Like last 2 weeks, more typical list of tight ends.
Yeah, we've had some interesting tight ends list.
Pat
Freiermuth. No, I mean excluding Freiermuth,
yeah.
we've had some very colorful names come on that big weak tight end board.
That's some weird ones indeed. We're moving on now to just a couple defense special teams. New England versus Atlanta. Unfortunately, New England at 28. They did pick 6 in that game. You had both Josh Rosen throw an interception, and then you had forget your other quarterback's backup, but he was I just had it.
Oh.
He's the guy he played for Florida.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I know exactly who you're talking about. I just can't.
Yeah. Oh my God. His name just slipped my mind, but he threw a pick as well.
Yeah. Atlanta had 3 quarterbacks throw picks. It's brutal.
Yeah. Not the prettiest day.
No.
For Atlanta football, 28 there. Houston versus Tennessee.
Dude.
16 points for Houston.
Tannehill couldn't find a Tennessee receiver, man.
No.
He just kept throwing to Houston Texan corners.
And then you had Kansas City versus Dallas, 15, which is surprising because KC's defense isn't the greatest.
Dallas just was not taking care of the ball.
Dallas sucked at
all.
And, I mean, it didn't help that CeeDee Lamb, obviously, and Amari Cooper were out.
Yeah.
And CeeDee Lamb did have to leave because he had a concussion, I believe it was, or a deemed concussion.
Yeah.
Partially that game, which is too bad. Now we're moving on to waiver wires, and this list is getting slimmer every friggin' week.
Yeah, we say this, but it's a fact because your options just run out with injuries and depth chart wise and matchup wise.
Yep.
So first one we're gonna name here is Tevin Coleman, New York Jets running back, and the reason you should pick up Tevin Coleman as soon as possible is because Michael Carter is out.
Yeah, and Michael Carter's a player who puts up many fantasy points. A great running back in fantasy
He's a
football.
fairly consistent running back considering he's on the Jets.
For sure.
The Jets suck.
And keep in mind that this is more like a pick him up for the week and then see if Carter's still out after that.
Yeah, it's kind of a read and react situation, I'd say. But if you're in I'm in desperate need of a running back this week.
And you're getting towards playoff season, so you need wins, you need players,
you need depth.
And Coleman's one of them. Especially he's playing another part to this. He's playing Houston.
Yes.
Which they beat the Titans, but the Titans had an off day. I mean, you can't totally credit that to Houston because they kind of suck as well. And their defense is questionable, and that's why we think we should pick up Tevin Coleman. Next one, Cam Newton. We've already said this name, but if you haven't gotten to this point, you didn't believe us, it's legit now because he only had 2 snaps the other week for 11 points. Now he plays a whole game, he has 26 points.
Efficiency.
Isn't that amazing? He's only 40% rostered. And, he's playing, I think it's Washington next week. He's got Washington on his schedule, who also...
they just suffered an injury to Chase Young.
Yeah.
That defense is a little bit banged up. Not what they were at all in 2020.
For sure.
So, could be a favorable matchup as the Panthers kind of look to start hitting their stride a little bit and make a nice playoff push because they're certainly a good enough team to be in the playoffs. I think at least.
Actually, I made a mistake. They just played Washington. I remember because they played Ron Rivera, his old coach, who had a plan for him. But still, look what he was able to do with them. 26 points against kind of a banged up, but still. A defense that was not terrible, and it was good enough that Washington actually won that game, which is pretty big for them. So that definitely helped. And give us our last one here. We have not said the name once on the fantasy cast this year.
Cedric Wilson,
who
wide receiver for the Cowboys. Yeah. And the reason you should pick up Cedric Wilson is because 1, he plays on the Cowboys.
Yep.
And 2, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are out, so that wide receiver core is very thin.
For sure.
Very thin. And we're going to talk about a couple Cowboys coming up as well, too, in our starts and sits. But Cedric Wilson is a guy who might fly a little under the radar on the waiver wire. Mm-hmm. That if you're a better team in your fantasy league and your waiver order is kind of lower, depending on what your league does, you might not have priority. Cedric Wilson's probably a pretty decent go-to guy
for sure
to look at.
And then you also have Michael Gallup in there he's been injured too, so he's not the most reliable player. And Cedric Wilson has played a lot more than Michael Gallup this year, actually.
He has.
And he's only 1% rostered, about 2% rostered in some leagues. Some of his bigger games this year, he's had 9, 11, and 18 were his 3 biggest. So he's certainly a player who can put up decent numbers.
when the targets come his way, I mean, he's there for them, and they're gonna be there come Thursday.
In a game, you have Detroit and Dallas who always play that Thursday game on Thanksgiving.
Obviously.
Against Las Vegas actually.
Yeah, that'll be a decent game.
Yeah. Let's go with the starts and sits here for Week 12. So as we mentioned before, this is going to be 6 players, 6 starts, 6. Yeah. So first is Damian Harris versus Tennessee. New England is a hot team right now. I think they've won 5 games in a row.
Yeah. I hate that they're good.
Yeah,
again.
Me too. I mean, how do they take the AFC?
They haven't had their bye week yet, so come on.
That's true. But they're still above the Bills right now, which is surprising considering the record earlier on in the year. You also have, Harris has put up like 17, 25, 14, 10, and 7 in his last games, and Tennessee took a huge L. They're coming off a huge loss to Houston.
Yeah. This will be a big game for the Titans.
Yes.
Because if the Titans don't win this game, then there's going to be a lot more question marks
for sure
with that team than there even are this week. Because there's a ton of question marks surrounding Tennessee after a pretty big loss against the Texans. So if they don't rebound against a hot New England Patriots team, then I don't know. It's gonna be weird.
It is gonna be weird. Let's just go back and forth here.
Yeah. We're gonna try and get this guy right.
Yeah.
I'm telling you to start Pat Freiermuth versus Cincy. Why? This is a massive divisional game for both teams who are right in the thick of the playoff hunt.
Yep.
And this game could be huge for the winner.
For sure, because you have Cincinnati's actually in the wild card spot right now, I believe. You have Baltimore leading the division, and Pittsburgh is in the hunt to get in the playoffs. And they just took a loss to the Chargers, obviously. Which didn't help them. And Freiermuth is good when Big Ben's there. I mean, literally the week we told you guys to sit him, again, we didn't know Big Ben wasn't going to be playing that game. And it was Mason Rudolph. He just has a connection with this kid. He has 12, 14, 21, 6, and 11 in his last games, which is solid at the tight end position, which is a fairly inconsistent position. So Freiermuth, start him. Darnell Mooney versus Detroit. He's had 12, 20, and 23 in his last 3. Wow, those are some good numbers.
Yes.
And Allen Robinson is questionable. He didn't play last week. He was limited in practice today as well. So
it's a quick turnaround too. That Thursday game, missing Sunday doesn't help Robinson's case at all. And if he does play, who knows if he's 100%?
That's a very good point. Yeah, and Detroit questionable defense as well.
That's a nice way to put
it. We're going to be nice. It's Thanksgiving. It's American Thanksgiving here.
American Thanksgiving.
We got to be nice. We don't eat green bean casseroles up here in Canada. I mean, you guys can do what you want down there. But, so we have, Darnell Mooney was starting to start him. Because even if, say, Robinson by some miracle does play, they'll be more limited. Probably in a more limited role.
Yeah.
And Mooney should get some more of those targets.
You think, yeah.
Yeah.
Next start, Tony Pollard versus Las Vegas. And why are we telling you to start a backup running back? Well, we told you before that 2 Cowboy wideouts are injured. And Pollard, great out of the backfield, filling in for Zeke whenever they give him rest.
Yes.
Or even pass catching too. Pollard's been a solid option this year.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas is a struggling team, and look for Dallas to bounce back. Again, their easy schedule is going to start taking over here in the next couple weeks.
I think they should, especially because Vegas is struggling.
They're going to start getting the machine turning again. I think.
I agree with you, and they took a big loss and the offense took a big struggle there to Kansas City. So I feel like the coach, it's going to be a regroup there from Mike McCarthy. And Pollard is a fantastic player, and some of the big wins that they've had this year,
he's been a big part in that.
Pollard's been instrumental to that. And one of them, the first one was against the Chargers, where he had over 20 points there. Next one, Jalen Waddle. We were telling you to start him again, actually, so hopefully he'll prove us right 2 weeks in a row. He's facing Carolina. Carolina's defense was very bad last week, so they are struggling a little. And Miami's rolling. Miami has won their last 3 games right now, and one of them was against Baltimore. So
which was a big win for them. If they want to even look at catching either Buffalo or New England in their division.
For sure. And the other was against Houston and the Jets. I mean, say what you will about those wins. But still, he does put up numbers, and against a bad defense, Jalen Waddle has been pretty good, and Carolina's questionable right now.
Jalen Waddle's also come into fine form as well this year.
Yeah.
in that Miami receiving core, which is you love to see from the first round pick
Awesome.
out of Alabama. And our last start, sixth start, Chase Claypool, Canadian. Haven't said his name a whole lot.
I haven't talked
year.
about Mapletron really, no.
No. 24, 3, 10, 7, and 14 in his last couple outings.
Yep.
Same reason to start for him with massive, massive implications on this game against Cincinnati. And again, we'll see what kind of connection Claypool and Big Ben have as well.
Because he's a special player. I mean, he usually only some weeks this year he's had less than 10, but for the majority it's been over. He's a good player, solid player, and you need to rely on your playmakers here against a good Cincinnati team, and like we said, a big divisional game.
Yes.
Let's move on to the sits. First off, going back to Thanksgiving, we have Hunter Renfrow versus Dallas, and this is simply because we mentioned before, Las Vegas is struggling, their offense is struggling, Derek Carr has been struggling, that whole team, and we feel like Dallas will bounce back, of course. And ever since Ruggs went out, I mean, their offense has become more limited to what they can actually do. And since Renfrow, along with Darren Waller, two of the better receivers, it should be kind of less complex to game plan against. And taking Renfrow out of that should help them win on that Thanksgiving game. So we're saying sit Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, also sitting Ryan Tannehill versus a very, very hot New England team right now. A lot of questions surrounding Ryan Tannehill after last week's performance against the Texans because it wasn't great.
No. Those are the kind of games you need your quarterback to lift you when a good player's out, and he didn't do that.
Yeah, and I was saying this before the show, but I got some questions for Tennessee because they're looking to fill Derrick Henry's role with a couple of different running backs who are mediocre, I'd say.
Nowhere near Derrick Henry's level.
Obviously not. But I was saying to Ty, what stops teams from just rushing 4 and dropping 7 every single play, teams do against the Chiefs?
Sure.
What if Tannehill is one of the least blitz quarterbacks? Sure, he might have time to find receivers, but how much time will he have? Because they're gonna drop 7 guys, so it's not like everyone's gonna be wide open. Whereas if you blitz, there's gonna be guys in one-on-one like Julio Jones and AJ Brown.
For sure, historically not a very talented thrower, and with Derrick Henry out, it takes that element of surprise out of that offense. If you look back, you're wondering why he became so good. Tannehill, well, in Miami, he wasn't that good. He comes to Tennessee, and he was good because of the star running back there that allowed him to sometimes have the option to keep the ball and run for a touchdown.
I'm going to bring a name out here. Do you remember Jay Ajayi?
Yeah, of course.
Dude.
The British guy.
So
Super Bowl champion. With the Eagles, yeah.
So when Ajayi was in his prime with the Dolphins, I think that was when Tannehill was at his best because he had a reliable run game as well as he could use his arm. So take the run game out of the equation for Tannehill, and he just doesn't look like the same player.
No,
and
not at all.
That's another reason why you should sit him this week against New England.
Yeah. We have Marquez Callaway against Buffalo. We feel strongly as I'm not. Bills aren't my number one team. Obviously, Chargers blow that out of the water, but I do like the Bills because a lot of family, and you like the Bills, and we're pretty close to Buffalo, so we feel like they're a good team that are going to bounce back in a really off week. The Saints, like we said, they just got 40 bombed. Their offense isn't amazing. Callaway's had only 14 targets over the last 3 games combined, and 2 of those games he only had 4 targets. So not amazing for someone who's kind of a wide receiver one on that team. When Michael Thomas isn't there,
which is crazy.
And because you got Emmanuel Sanders who left too, so it's weird. But we feel like you should sit him because he's right on that threshold where he could have 11 or he could have 9 or 8. But this week we think he's gonna have 9 or 8. Prime time game Thanksgiving actually.
Remember what happened last time Buffalo played a prime time Thanksgiving game on the road?
Was it a blowout?
It was against Dallas a couple years ago. Remember when Josh Allen was eating?
Oh yeah, You get the turkey if you win. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see more of that, and we're sit Marquez Callaway.
I'm optimistic. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Sitting Cole Beasley. which, as I say this, he's going to put up 25.
Yeah.
Because that's just how it's been for us with Cole Beasley this year.
Yep.
But we're telling you to sit him versus New Orleans. He had a little bit of success in a couple weeks,
yep.
but recently it's been a 3 running back approach in the backfield.
Which I don't like for Buffalo, by the way. I don't.
It's all right. I mean, whatever wins you games, but they're not really
winning
They're not really winning as much as they were last year. But Diggs and Sanders seem to be the clear number 1 and number 2 in the receiving core there. So that's why we want you to sit Cole Beasley against New Orleans.
And ding, ding, ding. We don't know this yet, but this Thursday short week, he is injured. He did have a rib injury, was limited in practice. And if he does get back for the game, he probably will have limited reps. And a lot of the times, the Bills don't even have him on the field for a lot of their offensive formations and schemes.
Yeah, the percentage of snaps that he has played is far, far decreased from 2020.
Yeah, for sure.
Not even close.
Yeah. Next one, we have Derek Carr versus Dallas. The exact same reason we're sitting Hunter Renfrow is because Las Vegas is struggling, Derek Carr is struggling, and we feel like Dallas is going to bounce back and have a good defensive game plan on Thanksgiving against Derek Carr. We just don't feel like he's going to get over 15 this game.
Yeah.
Bold one here for the last one.
I mean, he's still third in passing yards.
Third in passing yards, but he was first for a while, and that's dropped.
We're telling you to sit Adam Thielen against the Niners.
Got this one right last time.
Why? San Fran is starting to heat up a little bit. They're proving themselves now down the stretch, looking to be in fine form coming into the playoffs.
Yep, they're 500 right now, and they've certainly climbed back.
They're a way better team
for sure
than a 500 record, though. That's the thing with them.
And this is a big NFC matchup.
Massive.
Because these are two teams with records that don't necessarily speak to the talent of their team. And
Minnesota's defense isn't great.
No.
Their
offense is elite.
Their offense is very elite. But, when one piece doesn't go right in that offense, they lose.
And Justin Jefferson is the focal point of that offense, which takes targets away from Thielen. And Thielen's usually touchdown dependent if he has a big week in fantasy football. And against San Fran, his defense is starting to pick it up recently. We see Thielen potentially having one of those games where he doesn't play as well. We're going to go on to the fantasy player of the week this week. And, I mean, this was no question, right?
I mean, it's kind of players of the week almost.
Kind of, yeah. But there's one clear one.
Very, very clear.
Yeah, so this wasn't hard. It's Johnathan Taylor, of course. And if it's not Johnathan Taylor, what is the definition of a fantasy player of the week? If he literally has, if you were playing him, he would have had more than half of your team's points.
Yes. Well, he had more than half of my team's points this week.
Yes.
I only mustered 87 points.
Yeah.
So,
he was just phenomenal. I mean, 185 rushing yards. He had 4 rushing touchdowns. He also had 3 receptions for 19 yards and a receiving touchdown.
Of course.
Against Buffalo, who is a tough. It's not like he's doing this against the Jaguars. This is against Buffalo Buffalo.
This was a crazy game for Johnathan Taylor. He looked like he was putting on that Wisconsin Badger uniform again.
Yeah.
I was watching that game and I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
For sure.
It was crazy.
Yeah. And then a couple honorable mentions here.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think this is a little bias on your part.
It's
totally biased.
It's absolutely biased. But next up would be Eckler because he had 4 touchdowns. Herbert is just more of one that I like to throw in there just because it's an NFL record, which is pretty cool.
And because you just like to talk about the Chargers.
Fair enough. If any excuse I get on the show, I bring him up. So there we go. But the main one, of course, is Johnathan Taylor with all his points. And our fantasy question of the week was more of a kind of a different one. We talked about this a bit more before the show. We were talking about the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
And we were wondering, how concerned should you be with that Cleveland Browns offense, pretty much? And especially fantasy production. Because Donovan Peoples-Jones, I mean, you can't trust that guy, really.
No, because he's a very, very gifted and talented receiver, I think.
Yes.
But he's had games where he's had 25, 30 points.
Yeah.
And then he's had games where he's had 0.3 points.
Yeah. But seriously, because he doesn't catch a 60-yard bomb that goes for a touchdown.
And another thing too is with Austin Hooper and David Njoku.
Yeah.
A couple of guys who are looking extremely washed up right now.
Yes.
Not in fine form whatsoever. Basically pushing Odell Beckham Jr. off the team.
Yeah. And
then Jarvis Landry's just kind of there, supposed to just carrying the load himself.
Yeah, I mean Nick Chubb had 22, but
that Nick Chubb returning is going to help them a lot. When's Kareem Hunt back though? That's
I have no idea.
Because when they get their duo back, I think
the offense will be rolling.
They're going to start to roll because they won't rely as much on their receiving core because they can just either throw to Kareem Hunt, hand it off to Kareem Hunt, or hand it off to Nick Chubb, which are all excellent options offensively.
And then Baker Mayfield is not whatsoever a starter in fantasy football. So he's very questionable. Like you said, you can't really trust tight ends, can't trust wide receiving core. You can only trust the running backs. And you're wondering, it's very concerning to see, just in general, apart from fantasy football, how, there was that game where they played the Chargers. They were both, I think, 4-1 or 3-1 coming into a game earlier in the year. And that was the offensive shootout game. When Herbert had 41 fantasy points or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that was nuts.
But I don't know why, because their defense was number one in the league going into that, and then they gave up 40, almost 50.
Yeah.
And it just kind of has gone downhill from there in terms of the record, and it's very concerning for Browns fans because you barely squeaked by one of the worst teams in the league in Detroit.
I mean, a win's a win, but they don't ask how, they ask how many. But the Browns need a few more wins down the stretch to push for the playoffs. And I think until they get the running back duo back in fine form in Cleveland, I'm not sure that you can really trust many players in that offense.
Except Nick Chubb.
Only exception is Nick Chubb.
Only exception is Nick Chubb, so that's basically the fantasy question of the week. Bit of a different one. And is that episode 12 concluded?
Yes.
That is so weird because we're coming towards the end of the fantasy season now.
Yeah, it's the season's flown by.
Yeah.
It's gone by really quick.
It has.
12 weeks of this.
It's too bad because if you think in 3 months, football won't even be on anymore.
Don't even say that.
Yeah. But hey.
Why would you say that?
I don't know why I said it. But United States Football League, it was defunct in 1984. It's back. It was actually owned by Donald Trump in 1984.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a really cool video on NFL Network. It's the reason why. It's the reason that made the NFL pay their players more and stuff like that. And it kind of changed the dynamic, so it's pretty cool. But it's spring football, so that's something that's pretty cool. But other than that, we're done for today.
Yeah. Again, guys, this is, I believe, coming into the last week of November here.
Yeah.
I think the 30th of November. Yeah, November does have 30 days. I had to do the jingle in my head to confirm that.
Count the knuckles.
But November 30th is next week, so our mustaches will be gone in about a week.
It's not like you can see it anyways. If you were here, you could see it. Lachlan is a very nice one. I have more of a wispy one mixed with black and blonde.
Yeah.
But your point is, please donate.
Yeah. Hit up that link tree in the bio.
Yeah.
Keep donating. We appreciate all you guys who have donated. Fantasy Cast is always powered by Shocker Sports, and for the foreseeable future will still be.
I assume so. Unless we get bought out by someone.
Yeah.
Unless we get paid more, we don't get paid.
It was a pleasure doing this live in the beautiful city of Toronto, Ontario. Unfortunately, this will not be a regular occurrence, as I will be heading back to Massachusetts at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Resuming the season. I will be home for Christmas though. So
might squeak in one over the Christmas
break. Little sneaky Christmas episode.
Exactly. In the Christmas sweaters for sure. But yeah.
Yeah. Gotta get the ugly Christmas sweaters back.
Exactly.
Those of you who watched the Sports Desk last year know what we're talking about. But
those things were hideous.
Yeah, we're bringing them. We gotta bring them back though.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much again for watching or listening. We are available on YouTube and Spotify. This has been episode number 12 of the Fantasy Cast. He's Ty White. I'm Lachlan McTagg. We will see you guys next week. Thanks so much.